Hello everyone and welcome back to more Knowing Wheel. Yesterday we're here back with episode 62 of your favourite F1 nerdy podcast. Of course now, your favourite Red Bull themed nerdy F1 podcast as well. Of course, as always, I'm joined by Jamie183. How we doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm in another new location.
Yes.
Tick that one off. Looked like I'm in a prison cell because I've not really had time to put anything up yet. But there we go. Yeah, we're
Are you
here.
allowed to put things up in prison, are you?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah,
Apparently,
I saw Shawshank. I'm going to dig out from behind it.
Go for it, man. If you have the same poster that Shawshank did, I will be amazed. Fair play to you. Fair play. But yeah, like we said, we're back this week, of course, to review the British Grand Prix. Of course, yeah, brilliant weekend. You know, if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I was actually down at Silverstone, of course, and that was only possible through our channel sponsor, Bybit. So a massive thank you to them for just the insane support. You know, we'll kind of disperse stories throughout the show today. But yeah, I cannot thank those guys enough for, you know, it was just such an insane experience. Of course, you know, if you're listening or watching this on YouTube, go check out the Spotify. I apologise last week to Spotify listeners that we didn't get a show up there. I'll be honest, we recorded this, when was it? Late last Wednesday evening.
It was a Wednesday evening,
wasn't it,
yeah.
Jamie? Yeah. And I still had, at that point, 5 F1 22 videos to do. Now, for reference, they take between 3 to 5 hours each. And I had about a 9 o'clock train the next morning. So I was up till about 1 a.m. and then woke up again at 5:30 to edit all those videos, and I just completely forgot to put the show on Spotify.
So you're talking, but all I'm hearing is excuses.
It is all excuses, yeah, but I do apologise to everyone. So, yeah, you know, if you're listening to this show now on Spotify, with a bit of luck, I'll have put the other show up earlier on today for continuity's sake. But yeah, of course, as well, you know, go check out the show on Spotify as well. Links to F1 merch, Manscaped, you know, it's all down there, down below. Fanatec affiliate link now as well. You know, we're jumping on that hype train. It's a very exciting time. And as my PA, Jamie, have I forgot anything?
Follow me on Twitter. We haven't said that for a while.
Yes,
I don't know why you would.
Twitter.
I'm not very funny, but there we go.
Don't follow Jamie on Twitter. Just please follow me. Follow me for some funny. Well, basically half of my Twitter, to be honest, at this point is just retweeting your Top Gear memes.
It's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I've got some fun pictures from the weekend as well up there. But yeah, before we got into this weekend, though, Jamie, of course, 4 teams this week bringing major upgrades towards Silverstone. They were, of course, Mercedes. You know, home race for both their drivers. This was sort of meant to be potentially the turning point for Mercedes as well. Haas finally bringing some more big upgrades. Alpine and Williams kind of did, but only for Albon. And let's be fair, that kind of was a waste in the end, as we'll get onto later on. And it's also been confirmed Latifi won't get said potential upgrades for at least a few weeks. So France at the earliest.
Yeah, so not for the next race in Austria, unfortunately for Latifi. Yeah, we spoke about him a lot on last week's show, the preview, but for all those teams, actually, it seemed to be okay. Other than Williams, of course, because one of their cars, the car with the upgrades, got destroyed inside 50 meters. But yeah, the other 3 teams did pretty good this race. So fair play, the upgrades seem to be working, especially Mercedes. That should make it more interesting, because they certainly seem to be able to hold a candle to Ferrari, which a couple of weeks ago they definitely weren't.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like we said, we'll talk about that a little bit more during the show. I suppose quickly as well, we probably ought to mention, actually, all the controversy that came out Saturday night. I know I'm jumping ahead slightly, but it's kind of related to all this, isn't it? Of apparently, Ferrari and Red Bull have been using a more flexible floor than Mercedes deemed fair.
Yeah, I didn't see much about this other than...
No, it was a bit weird, wasn't it?
Someone messaged me saying MV0, 0 championships. That was about it, really. Yeah, he's a Hamilton fan, shock. But yeah, I don't know. Of course, Mercedes are going to think there's problems because they've been losing all season. So it's not that much of a surprise, I don't think. Much will come of it, really.
It was different interpretations. I'm completely with you. I don't think anything's going to come from it. But I think it was different interpretation of the rules, wasn't it? That Mercedes and basically every other team have kind of gone, well, they can't do that. And Ferrari and Red Bull have kind of gone, yeah, why not exactly?
Yeah, we have, so suck it up.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, we'll cover that again, later on once we sort of know more about that. But certainly a point that I don't think is going to go away anytime soon. Let's get then into the British Grand Prix weekend. Silverstone, July. It was going to rain throughout a lot of the weekend, as you would come to expect. Practice, though, pedal cam. For the first time, Jamie, pretty much since we were both born, we had a pedal cam feature at a Formula 1 weekend.
Yeah, it was quite cool. It wasn't the most insightful thing in the world, because it was
angled the wrong way.
It was angled the wrong way. I thought it was like behind the pedal, whereas you kind of want above the pedals if you can, but obviously you can't. There's no space for it there. So it was interesting, but yeah, it's not like going to revolutionize F1 broadcasting, I don't think.
No, it's not quite Halo Cam, is it? Not Halo Cam, sorry, Helmet Cam. Yeah, they were always quite cool. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, like we said, with some tweaks, some additions, it will be a good feature, I think, but it certainly needs some refining. I guess that kind of shows just how pretty boring most of free practice was, to be honest. Obviously, Lance Stroll went off in FP1, but there were no sort of major incidents. Then we also just saw Williams kind of decide their whole paint scheme this weekend was going to be Floviz during practice for whatever reason. Surely that much Floviz isn't effective.
Yeah, it's just going to be like, oh, my car's red now. Brilliant. That's not really showing very much.
If we make it red, it'll be Ferrari.
Exactly. No, I don't know. Was it only on Albon's car? I guess they're trying to test the upgrades. Yeah, it was a bit wild. We've seen it before. Just shoving Floviz on wherever they can. But fair play. I'm sure the engineers know a lot more than we do about that. So.
Well, yeah, possibly. I mean, this is the Knowing Wheel podcast.
Yeah.
So, come on, we know wheel, not aerodynamics. But yeah, I mean, sort of the general overview of free practice was that there wasn't any major changes. Ferrari, Red Bull at the front, and no sort of real surprises behind. Then we get into Saturday, Jamie, qualifying day. And again, things are looking incredibly soggy.
Yes, you would know. Although, did you have a roof?
So I was. This is a beautiful little segue, Jamie. Fair play to you.
There we go.
So I was. If you've sort of seen Silverstone, you got the front straight. You got the huge grandstands on the one side, and then above the pit lane, you got the huge facility. I kind of forgot, to be honest, how long that building's been there. Because I sort of got inside and realised I'd been in there before. No, they've done major changes since then, haven't they?
The Silverstone wing, I think, was done in 2011.
Yeah, some of it was then, and then a lot of it was more recently updated. Because I kind of forgot I'd went there. I think it was in 2018 for an event for the World Rallycross Championship. But so back to the story. Obviously you got the huge balcony along the front, which was fantastic. Because most of it was covered, but then the front bit isn't. Yeah. Now, what's really odd, and I think it was weird that I hadn't thought this was going to be the case anyway, is of course hospitality at a Formula 1 weekend, Jamie. Very, very weird. Of course, I'm not used to it. No one there cares about Formula 1 if you're in hospitality.
True. Yeah.
All you're there to do is link up with other people and network. So, which is obviously very good for them. But of course, then I'm going around going, look at fast race cars. I'll stand in the rain for 2 hours and watch them.
And
as obviously other people are just handing out business cards, and canapes. So it was great for me because obviously, if they were outside, none of them wanted to go in the rain. So I had the perfect viewing right at the front there in the rain. But great. Yeah, to sort of round out the story, most of it was sheltered. But if you wanted the best seats, it wasn't, or not as sheltered. But I didn't care.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, Q1 was pretty wet. The only major real talking point, I think, was Albon went out in Q1. Latifi went through, which was a bit unexpected. And Albon was very annoyed about the... they told him to do a cool-down lap to obviously cool the intermediates. And then he went again and had no tyre temp. And then was very annoyed that they told us to do a cool-down lap. But then I kind of think, just don't do one. But there we go. I don't know. You don't have to listen to your team at all times, as we were shown later in the weekend. But
yes, very true, very true. But yeah, I can understand why Albon was annoyed, because you think, the team have got all that data. Yeah. You'd hope they would listen. Seb as well, of course, very annoyed, because it was both Aston Martins, both Haas and Albon. out in Q1. And yeah, 2 weekends where Aston Martin in a wet qualifying session have absolutely bottled it for both their drivers, and they've just been nowhere near the pace. Then we'll, of course, move into Q2, and one of what at the time we thought was probably going to be the biggest talking point of the weekend, somehow Nicholas Latifi just ends up in Q3, and even watching the qualifying recap about 3 times, I still don't know how he managed it.
It was very weird. It kind of reminded me of Jennifer Brazil 2018 when
I thought you were going to say 2010 then.
Nah, Marcus Ericsson just rocked up in Q3 and qualified 6th in the Sauber.
That was Charles, wasn't it?
Nah, Charles was out-qualified by Marcus. They were both in Q3. But
they were both.
It's
yeah.
It's the driver who everyone kind of agrees is like the worst on the grid. But it's nice to see him show the world.
Was the worst on the grid then?
2018, probably. Him or Brendan Hartley.
Oh, don't diss my man Brendan like that. Not Stroll, not Grosjean.
I think Grosjean was around. I'd take Grosjean over Ericsson.
Yeah, Grosjean had flashes of brilliance, I suppose.
Like, it was nice to see that.
Indy 500 winner.
Yeah, exactly. True. It was nice to see Latifi actually show he's got a bit of pace, because it's been a while, probably Hungary or Belgium last year.
About
since
27 years.
Yeah. But I don't think it will change very much in terms of his future. But it was nice to see.
No, unless say, for example, it does become a common occurrence, which...
What, Q3 for Latifi?
I really don't think it will. But, I mean, if it did become a common occurrence, then maybe he's got a good chance. Unless, of course, Williams' upgrades were not upgrades this weekend, and Albon did have a worse car.
Yeah, they could have made the car worse.
He certainly had a car worse by turn 1.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Latifi... it was funny as well, because in Q3 he did like a 2-minute 12 or something.
2-1-2, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why I did that with an Australian accent, but 2-1-2.
There you
love
go.
It.
Because he used all his inters. You only get 4 sets, and he's used all 4 of them trying to get into Q3. So he just didn't bother even trying on worn inters. Or maybe he was trying. You're going to do a 2-minute.
Yeah, the 20
seconds off the pace. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a decent effort though by Latifi. And I mean, yeah, for Q2 though, Ricciardo, Ocon, Tsunoda, Bottas, and Gasly all out.
Shout out to Joe for beating Bottas 3 races in a row. I was going to
say, Bottas, what's happened to his pace, man?
Well,
he had Joe in the back pocket, and now suddenly Joe's just kind of picked it up.
I think Joe has absolutely found a level since Baku where he's actually comfortable in the car, and like obviously rookies generally have that turning point at some point in their first season if they're anything serious.
You hope so, yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that Joe is now out-qualified in 3 races in a row since Baku. The 2 of them in the wet as well. I mean, Bottas has never been that good in the wet.
Exactly, yeah. But, that's kind of taken Joe's credibility away there. Is what
but neither Joe through the junior formula, to be fair.
Well, Joe was never that quick during the dry in junior formula.
Well, he was on occasion. Yeah, I'm very happy for him. Qualifying went very well. Let's leave it there for him.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that in just a minute. But yeah, we obviously got into Q3. It was actually very dramatic, wasn't it? I mean, I tell you what, Jamie, Q3, I reckon that might have been the right time to be in the Red Bull garage listening to all of their comms.
Oh, here comes the gloating. I didn't expect that. Yeah, it does sound pretty cool to just... I'm guessing you just heard GP and stuff on the radio.
It was really odd. I mean, it was... Again, I think this was quite the fascinating thing because, a lot of people sort of base comms off what they see on Drive to Survive and, of course, what is broadcast on TV. It's mad.
There's so much more, isn't
there? There are. I mean, genuinely, you'll go out on an outlap and it'll be non-stop.
Well, because the only one you hear on TV is between the engineer and the driver. The engineer talks to everyone, basically.
No, it's only a few bits, though. I mean, Max and Checo were both on the radio quite a lot to them. They only broadcast limited bits.
Yeah.
And it takes quite a while, actually, for the broadcast to come through. I mean, even the quick ones are about a minute afterwards. But, I mean, literally, because we were listening in, and I think it was Max that was trying to get himself ready for a lap. And, I mean, they're telling him every single person's lap times when they come through. I mean, it's like, for example, he probably doesn't care what time Zhou Guanyu's done. Or does he? I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, Zhou was on pole for about 30 seconds.
But this was later on in the session. But, I mean,
Zhou went pole for a bit during the first runs. I was so hoping it was just going to absolutely tear it down with rain. That would have been amazing.
That would have been a
unfortunately
madness,
not.
But No, not quite. But yeah, I mean, obviously they're updating you on gaps all the time as well. So
unless you're Lance Stroll's engineer.
Unless you're Lance Stroll's engineer, Brad. But yeah, they're constantly going like Alonso 12 seconds behind, Sainz 7 seconds in front. Obviously again, change all these modes on the wheel, everything like that. But it is, and then of course they get round to the final 2 corners, and obviously it just goes silent for the next 2 minutes.
It's like the league racing party chat.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was one of our league races.
But like even more, yeah. It's really, I mean, it's so incredible, but really, really interesting as well. Just obviously how many comms there are about everything.
Yeah, fair play. Not many people get to hear that, but there you go.
No, very, very lucky boy.
Absolutely.
So yeah, not going
Q3 happened. Very interesting after the first run. Well, the very first flying laps, Verstappen did a 360 out of Stowe, and was still less than a tenth off pole.
Yes, yeah,
which was pretty amazing. But
because he wasn't happy after that one.
No, I bet. But Leclerc was quickest after one run. It was kind of like there was no more rain forecast, or it was definitely getting less and less. So it was basically just quicker and quicker throughout the whole session. So yeah, by the end, everyone was kind of improving more and more. Verstappen usually leading the way throughout the session until the very end, when the very last laps happened, and Carlos Sainz was the first to cross the line and put it on pole with 0 purple sectors, which is quite funny. And yeah, Max and Leclerc were behind, and Leclerc
Neither
spun.
improved. Yeah.
Well, Leclerc made a mistake, went off the track in the Maggots Beckett section, and that obviously caused momentary yellow flags that screwed Verstappen, so he had to back off. But these things happen, so he didn't seem that annoyed. I guess he was on radio. I don't know. We didn't hear it.
No, he already had accepted. I think the lap wasn't going to improve anyway.
Oh, fair. But yeah. Ended up with Sainz with his first ever pole position.
Yes, yeah. And the best bit about it was Sainz afterwards didn't know how.
Yeah, he was laughing like that lap was terrible. He said it was an
awful lap, yeah, but he was the smooth operator. And fair play to him, he lived up to the moniker in qualifying that time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And Red Bull were not happy about it because they thought they had it in the bag.
Well, they really should have done. I think they definitely had the fastest car in those conditions.
Exactly, and especially when you got Max in the car as well.
Yeah.
They should have been comfortably. But yeah, of course, it was Sainz pole, Max second, Charles and Sergio third and fourth. So it was Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull. Hamilton, a brilliant job in P5 there, not far away from Sergio. And then Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Zhou Guanyu, like we said, shout outs to him in P9, alongside Nicholas Latifi. And that, of course, brings us, Jamie, to Sunday Fun Day.
Yeah, and it was fairly dramatic, to say the least, from the off.
Yes.
Obviously, if you're watching this podcast, you probably already know, let's be real. But yeah, the 5 lights are on, lights out, away we go, and immediately Max Verstappen takes the lead on soft tyres because everyone else was on mediums, or certainly the 2 Ferraris were. And Hamilton as well gets past Perez and Leclerc straight up into 3rd place. And then by the time we even realise that, Zhou Guanyu is upside down backwards into the gravel at turn 1. Which
off
was
the gravel,
very... Yeah, or not in the gravel. It's in the barrier, in fact, between 2 of them. Very frightening. They also didn't tell us for at least 10 minutes, I felt like, whether it was okay or not.
Yeah.
Which I kind of understand, because obviously he was in the car for that long because it was lodged between 2 barriers and really hard to get to. But also the clips emerged afterwards of obviously Russell out as well because he was part of the crash. Stopped his car, ran over to the barrier, and basically immediately gave a thumbs up because he saw that driver was moving in the cockpit.
Yeah.
At that point, you can, like the marshal has done the same, someone can tell someone that he's okay and just get rid of all the anxiety for the fans.
Yeah, but you never want to make that call too early, do you?
No,
I
guess.
This is the problem. Because, I mean, like I said, obviously no one really knew what was going on. And obviously, I don't think they really can until the driver's out of the car. Because, Zhou Guanyu might, say, for example, hypothetically, Zhou Guanyu could have put his thumb up, sort of said he's all right, and then they get him out the car, and obviously he realises, say, for example, he's broke both his legs, and obviously it's just the adrenaline going through him that he hasn't realised yet.
They could have told us he wasn't dead, which would have been quite nice.
Again, you certainly not want to make that call early.
No, I suppose. No, not at all. But yeah, it was very frightening. Kind of. I mean, they're never going to portion blame because it was lap one racing incident. But
yes, yeah.
If it was anyone's fault, it was George Russell's fault, in my opinion.
Mainly George and a bit on Gasly.
But yeah, George was
fault.
moving over to the left because Latifi got a better start than the pair of them. Got through the middle. Gasly tried to follow Latifi through, and Russell was gradually moving to the left. Yeah, and clipped the left front of Gasly, which sent Russell into the side of Joe, which immediately flipped him.
It
which
was just
quite
crazy.
very, very frightening.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, we've got to give it another shout out, haven't we? Because I don't know what it is about Alfa Romeo's. Apparently, I did read this morning a technical analysis on it, and it's basically, from what I can remember, the roll hoops are tested with obviously pressure being applied vertically down on them. Sorry, not vertically, horizontally down on. Am I?
No, you do mean vertically.
Oh, I am thinking vertically, aren't I? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not tested for
like
side and horizontally. So obviously, what they were basically
saying... It's a bit dodgy, really.
Exactly. There's definitely going to have to be an FIA directive over this because, like we said, no halo. Zhou Guanyu would have been going down into that gravel trap on his helmet.
Yeah, because the roll hoop's integrity did not look brilliant.
It just got completely, obviously, shaved away off the top of it.
Yeah.
Which was... crazy. I mean, I guess we actually probably should mention that.
Probably shout out the F2 as well.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Because, I mean, it saved Roy Nissany's life this weekend, didn't it?
Which he was completely self-inflicted, but still.
That's a very bad thing to say in that moment, Jamie. But
no, obviously I'm not saying he deserves it, but the incident was completely Nissany's fault. He was kept from harm's way by the halo.
Yes, I mean... sausage curbs as well, going back to that instant. Off the apexes of corners, please. I don't know how long it's going to take before they realise.
In my opinion, that's still the reason why the Monza crash, Verstappen-Hamilton happened. Like, if the sausage curb was flat, there's no launching of cars over another car and stuff. It's just so dangerous.
Yeah, and I guess this is the thing, isn't it? Because certainly turn one at Monza, I completely agree with you. The first part of that chicane definitely shouldn't.
You remember Jean-Eric Vergne, 2013, 2012, where he had a brake failure down towards turn one at Monza, lost the car completely, and then hit the sausage curb at turn one sideways and had massive back pain because it completely launched him.
Yeah, no, I think, they definitely need to get rid of more of the sausage curbs on circuits. I guess sort of the only reason why they put them up at Monza was, of course, because, you remember back in the late 2000s, of course, cars were just driving over the curbs. Yeah. It kind of got a bit mental. So it's a difficult sort of balance to find, isn't it, I think? In a lot of places. But certainly on corner entries like that from high-speed sections of circuits, those sausage curbs on the inside. Because, again, obviously, it's the famous one at Spa, isn't it, a couple of years ago? Well, quite a few years ago now, looking back. It was one of the GP3 drivers, wasn't it?
I don't know what you're thinking of.
You're
thinking Monza. Alex Peroni is.
No, I'm not thinking of Peroni. I'm thinking of one at the bus stop at Spa years ago, where a GP3 driver went in backwards at about 120 miles an hour, went over the inside curb, and literally flew about 20 feet backwards before he landed again.
I don't know what you're talking. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it was years ago now.
Pretty dangerous.
They said on the commentary at the time, that definitely. They need to get... Because imagine if a Formula 1 car did that.
And to be fair to the FIA, it usually does take an incident, which it shouldn't, but it usually takes an incident for them to realise.
It's a sad reality, isn't it, still? The FIA don't really sort of...
They're not very proactive. They're very reactive with this sort of stuff. Yeah. But hopefully they'll make changes, and I think they will.
Exactly. And obviously the most important thing, Zhou Guanyu is all right. Alex Albon as well, he had quite a hefty couple of hits. Because, of course, as everyone's trying to avoid the melee down at turn one, nothing Seb could have done.
No,
Seb rear-ended him and put Alex straight in the wall, and then he had two more impacts, didn't he?
Was it two? I thought it was one more.
It was one small one and then one quite big one, I feel. Of course, Alex, very, very obviously happy that he's all right as well. I suppose we probably ought to as well quickly mention, shouldn't we, Jamie? I can't remember the name of their organisation. The bunch of moron people who seem
oil people. I can't remember the name either.
Sorry, not oil people even.
Yeah, please stop using oil.
Yeah.
They broke onto the track just out of the loop, didn't they? On lap 1.
Yeah, on lap 1.
And luckily the race was red flagged, because if it wasn't, then those people, well, they might not have met a pretty end, to say the least.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't get it at all.
I
You're
mean,
protesting the one sport that's making changes and actually doing things to help the environment already. But yeah, luckily no one was hurt.
No, exactly. I mean, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Because I mean, I get it's a horrible thing, isn't it? Because things like that, you think that could go really badly.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, let's be fair. F1 car versus human. That means human is going to be in hundreds of pieces everywhere,
minced completely,
with hundreds of thousands of people watching it there.
Many
and of
children
course,
watching as well.
One or maybe even more drivers that then have to live with themselves knowing that's what they've done.
Yeah, and like I'm all for them protesting stuff, but do it in a safe way, please.
And I hate this idea as well. If we do it in a safe place, then it won't have a real effect. You know, like
You're just endangering yourself and other people. It's like,
Exactly.
what is the point? I did not get it.
I mean,
But,
yeah, it's just bonkers.
Luckily, nothing came of it. It was not the highlight, because there was a huge crash in
exactly,
in turn 1.
exactly. So I mean, let's give them exactly what they don't want, Jamie, and move on from it, because it was pointless for them, and hopefully, many of them rot in jail, even though they won't go to prison for it.
They won't go to prison, there's no way.
A boy can hope.
Yeah, the bit of confusion in the hour delay while they're sorting out the red flag was the grid order, which people were a bit confused about, because if you remember back to Bahrain 2020, I was shouting at the TV. It was very annoying because they were just chatting a load of rubbish on the commentary. But they didn't understand, or they were saying, you've got to get to the first sector split because that's the first timing, which, I mean, it's true you've got to get to a timing split, but it doesn't have to be sector 1. It can be the end of the pit lane, like safety car 2.
Turn 1.
Yeah. So in Bahrain 2020, the Grosjean crash, everyone had got to the end of the pit lane, safety car line 2. So they reset it to that point because everyone had crossed this timing line. Whereas with this red flag, not everyone still in the race had got to the exit of the pit lane. So they couldn't take the grid from there, which made... I mean, it's unfortunate, and it was definitely unfortunate for Verstappen and Hamilton, who made good gains.
Yes, I thought everyone that was still in it had got to that line. It was just because Albon hadn't.
Well, Albon wasn't in the race, that wouldn't have mattered.
No, exactly. But that's what I thought was so everyone. Bizarre.
I think the back few, obviously Vettel and Ocon and co were busy having crashes, but carried on and got themselves prepared. So they hadn't made it by the time they got to the red flag, I think, was the problem. But either way, it resets the original grid because that was the last confirmed timing thing they went to, is all they had.
Yeah. So obviously that meant the whole grid, was completely reset. Apart from George Russell.
Yeah, unfortunate, because he, just out of instinct, parked his car. He got a left rear puncture.
Yeah.
But he stopped his car to get out because he obviously saw Joe flipping into a barrier. Got out of his car to go and check, ran over to the marshals, gave the thumbs up, and then ran back to his car to try and fire it up. And unfortunately, he couldn't. I didn't even know these cars could fire up under their own steam.
No, that's not what happened though, was it? I was told it was because the marshals had already moved it. He wasn't allowed because he'd had marshal intervention, even though he told him not to touch it.
From what I heard, it was
the FIA wouldn't let him start again. I thought he got it back to the team and they were trying to repair it.
No, he got back in his car before they'd moved it anywhere and couldn't fire the engine up, which apparently you can do, but he couldn't manage it. And then by the time you get on the back of a low loader, obviously you're out of the race because you can't have outside assistance. So it's unfortunate because he could have definitely continued his top 5 streak, I reckon, if he'd have carried on. But yeah, screwed over everyone's fantasy team as well. So thanks, George. But that was probably the least important thing at the time.
No, exactly. I mean, fair play to him. Good guy George once again. Looking after Zhou Guanyu. I think I saw Callum Ilott as well tweet out today saying
he's always been doing that sort of thing.
He's always done that. Callum Ilott flipped a go-kart years ago and he said George Russell stopped his own car and rolled it back over so Callum could get out.
apart from Imola 2021, where he got out of his car to have a go at Bottas.
He went to check he was all right. Still, then, like, friendly hit over the back of the head, and a bird as well,
and a few swears.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Yeah, so we get back then round, Jamie, to the second start of the day. And this time round, Sainz knows what he's doing off the start and defends from Max. And fair play to Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard got his elbows out.
He did. It was very aggressive. Yeah, I was surprised. I think if it was Leclerc or Hamilton, it may have been a crash with Verstappen there. But Sainz held the lead into turn one. Verstappen lost a bit of momentum, having to go over the curb on the inside.
And having to lift out.
He had to lift out a little bit as well. Well, if he hadn't, he would have ended up like Vettel 2020, wouldn't he? He was just spinning on that inside curb.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, that basically, Sainz kept the lead. Verstappen was P2. And then the big talking point was into turn 4.
Leclerc. Wide.
Sorry?
4 wide.
Briefly. Indeed. So you had, Verstappen still trying to follow Sainz around the outside. Perez was kind of caught out by Verstappen braking a bit earlier than expected.
Yeah.
So had Perez to dive to the inside, basically.
Left, yeah, but Charles
while
already committed
Leclerc is already committed to ascend on Perez. And it was, I saw it immediately on the camera. I was like, what is Leclerc doing?
Yeah, it was a bit weird, wasn't it? Because
it was I was going to say it's a championship leader. He's definitely not. Not for a long time. He's been the championship leader, but he's in the running, or he should be in the running for the championship. You're fourth on lap 1. Why are you trying to win it at turn 4? Like, just have a bit of chill. And it was kind of the old Charles that we thought we'd said goodbye to.
I don't know, because I was going to say, from the off-board shot, I completely agree with you. When you look at it on the on-board, it looked a lot more in control from Charles than it looked off-board.
Yeah. It was an unfortunate one
because down the inside of Perez. It just so happened that Sainz and Max were so far away from the apex, and obviously they both committed towards it, that obviously they were 4 wide very briefly.
Yeah, but Leclerc was briefly in second because he sent it so far.
Yes, yeah.
But that ended up with obviously contact. Leclerc lost his right end plate and somehow it didn't affect the Ferrari too much for the rest of the race. Perez lost it at his left end plate, and that did affect the Red Bull very badly. Had to pit basically immediately. He had a bit of a battle with Hamilton and Norris, but it wasn't worth fighting with one arm tied behind your back. And yeah, Verstappen got away with it. So did Sainz. That was the 1, 2, 3 at that point with Perez. Well, briefly P4, but then eventually Hamilton P17. And Norris settling down. Yeah.
So obviously that meant we had Checo trying to fight his way through from the back. And for a fair chunk of the afternoon, wasn't it? We were kind of building up to things, and we kind of got madness at the start, madness at the end, but also quite a good race brewing as well throughout. Obviously, we saw lap 10, Sainz made a bit of a mistake through the S's, through Magnussen and Beckett's there, and that allowed Max Verstappen to take an easy race lead. And obviously, I think really all of us just thought that was going to be it then, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought Max had nailed it. Like, race done. There we go, take another 25 points and move on. But unfortunately not. The very next lap, lap 11, Tsunoda, who was running behind Gasly, I think it was P7 and 8. They were definitely both in the points.
Yeah.
Tsunoda just, for some reason, absolutely sent it into turn 3 and spun himself, and in doing so spun Gasly by spinning his car into his teammate's car, which was not the cleverest thing to do.
I'm
sure Franz Tost is not very happy with him, or not Christian Horner, Helmut Marko for that matter.
No.
Yeah, it was a very weird one. Like, the AlphaTauri drivers are usually, obviously they get on very well outside the car, but they're also usually quite chill inside the car with each other. And team orders, I think, have been used at AlphaTauri before. I don't get why he tried to do that. That was just a bit of a switch the brain off for a moment. And ruined both their races.
I feel like they'd already been battling before then.
Yeah, so definitely. Yeah.
Tsunoda was kind of very close and kind of thought, I'm going to try and keep this battle going by getting up the inside. Sort of taken by surprise. But yeah, that unfortunately meant, of course, not only were both AlphaTauris pushed way down the order, it also then meant Max Verstappen, 1 lap later, comes through and hits Tsunoda's damaged, some of the parts left from Tsunoda's damage, which gives him Fair. It wasn't quite a just immediate puncture, wasn't it? But it wasn't either a slow puncture either.
No.
So he has to pit.
Yeah, bodywork floor damage, I think they said afterwards. But
there was, damage wedged under the
played
floor.
havoc with the balance of the car. So obviously he thought he had a puncture just because it wasn't handling well. Sainz got through before he stopped, before the end of the lap, and then Verstappen just bailed and pit because he thought he had a puncture, which is a fair assumption when your car's not really behaving as it should.
Yes.
And yeah, it turns out, he came out in 6th behind Alonso, and then didn't really make any inroads. It's like, oh no, something isn't right here. And it turns out it was this non-critical piece of debris, kind of like what Bottas had in Imola 2020.
Yes,
where you've got a bit of debris lodged in your car somewhere, which just obviously plays havoc with the aerodynamics and really left him scrambling for the rest of the race in terms of balance.
Yeah, so obviously, again, that basically meant, Max was sort of out of the picture, sadly, for the win. Then, of course, Max now out of the picture. Ferrari won 2 again. But Charles, with this damage, has rocked up to the back of Carlos Sainz. And you think if it's any other team than Ferrari, they tell Sainz to jump out of the way and let Charles Leclerc go through and build up a lead. But this is Ferrari, so they don't, for whatever reason.
Ferrari used to be the team that used team orders, even when it wasn't allowed, with Fernando is faster than you. Why would they not use team orders?
Let Charles through for the championship.
Exactly. They literally caused team orders to be banned because they used them so often. And yeah, it was... I mean, I kind of understand that Sainz got pole, was leading, was on for his first win. I feel like if it was 2 drivers who've got a lot of wins already, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can see why they weren't trying to upset Sainz, but also Leclerc really had more pace.
That's not how F1 works.
No, it's not. It's not all.
You
put
all your
friendly,
guy that's faster in a position where he can utilise that pace.
Yeah, and I just don't get it. But this, both of them pit eventually. I think around like 20 to 25ish.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton had slowly rocked himself into the picture.
Yeah, well, not even so slowly, was it? He was. I mean, Hamilton this weekend, it was prime Hamilton home race. I'm giving it everything.
Yeah, I was rooting for him a little bit, which it was amazing, to be fair.
He did have a mega weekend, to be fair. Probably, I mean, obviously, again, we'll talk about it in a minute, but he definitely was in the shout for the win at different points of the afternoon. But yeah, he obviously pits later on there. Ferrari then did end up finally swapping around, didn't they?
They gave Sainz a chance to match Hamilton's lap times, who was still trying to overcut them, and Sainz couldn't match them, so they were like, right, please let Leclerc through, which he did, to be fair, and that kind of settled the race down a bit for about 5 laps, because Hamilton had a bit of a slow stop, but I don't think it made a difference in terms of positions anyway. Obviously lost about a second and a half. But yeah, comes out a little bit behind the Ferraris and doesn't really make any inroads because those hard tyres warm-up were so bad.
Yes.
And yeah, had a Ferrari 1-2, Hamilton 3rd. Looked like that was kind of that until Esteban Ocon, who the team had frantically repaired after he had a completely sheared track rod after the first corner crash. They repaired him and got him going again, only for the car to break down, go all Renault on us and break down. That was lap 39. He couldn't go anywhere, parked on the inside of the old pit straight. And that was, immediately we were like, this is a safety car. Apart from Ferrari, who didn't think it was an immediate safety car.
Or apart from Charles Leclerc's side of Ferrari. Yeah. And I mean, again, like, neither of us are Ferrari fans. Neither of us are big Charles Leclerc fans. But neither of us could help but feel like he would absolutely, like... I can't remember what it was, but like apparently this year it's Charles Leclerc versus Verstappen and Checo and Red Bull and Ferrari.
Yeah, like, he's not had much of a chance really.
Just getting full on Ferrari, isn't he?
Yeah, you can see what it does to what it did to Alonso and Vettel is kind of happening already.
And Charles is like what, 24, 25? Yeah. Like he's gonna
be getting grades already
soon. Yeah. I mean, basically what happened, of course, if you didn't watch, was obviously the safety car gets deployed. Charles Leclerc is told not to pit. Meanwhile, Hamilton and Sainz behind him, because they've got, obviously, a massive gap back. I can't remember who was it. I think it was Lando still in P4 at this point,
P4
wasn't
had been Perez, I think.
Perez was still recovering.
No, but he had a stop to do, but then this was a free stop, wasn't it?
Oh yes, sorry, yeah, no. So Checo, was P4, but he wasn't there.
He wasn't
in what
in
looked
sync,
like
no.
the net race, yeah. So they've got a free pit stop, but Charles doesn't somehow. Which again,
and I watched a bit of Sky afterwards, and Ted Kravitz literally asked Mattia Binotto, it was Karen Chandok who asked him, but it was like, you had time, you had like 6 seconds between Leclerc and Sainz, you could have pit them both. And also the safety car came out when Leclerc was just exiting, like he was just past the apex of Stowe, so that's easily enough time, especially when it's
done an in,
yeah, especially when it's not even a debate whether you should have pit him or not. It was the most obvious call in the world. Like, it was a lapse of judgment from Ferrari. Shock.
It was pure Ferrari energy, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that you ended up with Leclerc leading on these hard tyres, with Sainz, Hamilton, and Perez right behind, all on softs, and Alonso and Norris actually just behind as well on soft tyres. Vettel gained a bit, but he didn't pit, so he was P7 on the restart, ahead of Schumacher. Or at that point, it was Verstappen, then Schumacher, and someone else. But I think maybe Magnussen. Or no, Latifi was still in the top 10 at this point.
I thought Latifi had just slipped. Oh no, this was after the safety car, wasn't it?
The safety car restart, I think he was there, but on old tyres, he didn't pit. Yeah, so we had the restart. Even before the restart, Ferrari were trying to be Ferrari again.
Yep. Give Leclerc all 10 car lengths.
Yeah, they told Sainz to back off and give Leclerc 10 car lengths, which, to be fair, I see what they were trying to do, and it wasn't a terrible idea. But it was left way too late to tell him, especially when Sainz probably is like, you're trying to let him win.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they were trying to let Leclerc win. I think they were trying to get him a gap to Hamilton and Perez.
Yes, yeah, but basically all it was, and obviously Sainz is thinking, if I'm not sat right in this guy's gearbox, I'm going to get destroyed immediately.
Yeah,
because I've got Perez who's feisty on a fight back, and Hamilton who wants his first win of the year.
Yeah, so I can see both sides of it. I can see why Ferrari asked, but I can see why Sainz refused, and it wasn't like controversial or anything. It's just common sense, really, from Sainz.
Yes, yeah. But this is the thing, isn't it? This isn't the first time Sainz has made his own call this year, and both times it's been the right call. Like Monaco is the other example, isn't it? Where he told the team not to box, and they listened to him.
And he beat
Charles
Leclerc
needs to start doing it, and I mean, it'll probably get ugly between Charles and Sainz at some point.
Well, it's part of the game at Ferrari, isn't it? Is that you've got to do everything yourself. We saw it with Seb in 2020 when he was like, "If I go to the end of these tires, what lap time do I have to do?" He was like being chief strategist while driving the car around Spain. Ferrari, it's just an unserious team, really.
I mean, it is just absolute insanity, isn't it? Because if any other team did the sort of stuff Ferrari do, they'd be told they're so unprofessional and no one would sponsor them.
No.
But Ferrari, I'm 98% certain they don't actually exist in the modern era. Because it's just... And the problem is, the more I think about it, the less and less it makes sense with Ferrari in every possible conceivable way. Like, nothing about the company, never mind the F1 team, makes sense in the modern world.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. It's such an odd rabbit hole. But let's not distract us from the fact... We probably then saw the best final 10 laps of racing we've had all year.
It was amazing.
If not longer than that. I mean,
especially the one lap in particular was unreal.
Lap 45 was why, tracks like Silverstone, tracks like Spa, Monza, you need these tracks on the calendar because when they deliver magic, my lord, do they deliver
insane.
Magic.
Yeah, and it was not only the track itself, it was just the crowd as well. It was absolutely
atmosphere,
incredible.
Everything.
The atmosphere was so good. But yeah, we had Perez down towards Stowe on lap 45, down the inside of Leclerc, kind of similar to the 2019 battle between Leclerc and Verstappen back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leclerc swings it out wide, gets a pretty good exit. They're side by side into Vale. Leclerc forces Perez off. Perez is having none of it. Keeps his nose off the track, but kind of in there. Comes back on. Leclerc has to go wide. Through goes Lewis Hamilton, as the commentary said.
Out of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah,
Hamilton
insane.
Just has them both for chips.
Yeah, which momentarily up to P2 for Lewis. The crowd goes wild, and then 3 corners later, Perez gets him back.
But Checo's got no messing around.
Yeah, it was such good racing between all 3 of them, really. Perez immediately got Hamilton back, and then Hamilton tried to keep the nose in, got a bit forced out, and that let Leclerc immediately back through as well. So he's back to where he started. And also Fernando Alonso, who I was begging was just going to get involved.
He did try.
He tried his best. I don't think the Alpine had the drag set up on this race. But yeah, Alonso, well, you had a battle of P2 between 5 different constructors and 5 of, well, certainly 3 of the better drivers on the grid.
Yes.
And chuck in Norris in there as well. Why not?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd argue Norris is up there at the moment still.
Yeah.
But yeah, just absolute insanity. Now, however, Jamie, there was one thing about all this that I wasn't a fan of. And this is the current culture within Formula 1 of pushing other drivers completely off the track.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people sort of argue both ways with this. And the harsh reality I feel still is at the moment is it's completely dependent on whether there's tarmac out there or gravel traps. Because we saw with Austria last year, you force someone out wide, you get a 5-second penalty. Just because it's gravel. It should
if they lose time,
it should be the incident, the
cause, not the effect.
Yeah, exactly. The cause, not the effect from it. Because, we saw Perez being very aggressive with it. We saw Charles being very aggressive with it. And let's be fair, none of them got penalties, so it's fine. It was all fair playing. But I watched Max up against Schumi a bit further back. And I couldn't help but feel, the fact, Max has obviously just completely slammed the door on him. And, if that's what the rules stipulate, that's what the rules stipulate. But I'm not a fan of that kind of racing where it's you just force the other guy with nowhere to go.
I know, I don't like it very much. And it kind of, the FIA boiled themselves completely.
Entirely. This generation
basically,
of drivers
I see it as like, Verstappen came through 2015. Was doing this every single race, but because F1 was dead at that point and it was exciting that Verstappen was doing this, they kept allowing it for so long that now all of this generation of drivers who were seeing that be allowed in Formula 1 have come through and be like, why can't I do this? Which, it's kind of like you see why, but it's just not. The thing is, it's not even dangerous. It's just a bit rude, and it's just not. Yeah,
there's no.
It's not what you want to see.
It feels again because we're a bit more old school with it. I like to think it just feels a bit disrespectful. Yeah. Because I'll be honest, I'm not a Formula 1 driver. But if I was in a league race, say, because that's how we can always compare these things. If I was Mick Schumacher in a league race and someone had done that to me, I would just keep the nose there and be a dick about it.
Just give both you damage, yeah.
I would, no, genuinely, because I don't feel, it's fair to just completely shove someone off the road like that.
And you look back at, whenever Hamilton and Alonso are battling, they actually leave room for each other. Hamilton does it with everyone.
That is just the spicy battle, isn't it? Hungary last year. And it shows, the drivers of a certain era definitely, in our opinion, battled better.
They raced better,
Yeah, it was more about racing rather than just
getting the inside line and forcing someone off.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think, neither of us are a fan of it at the moment. That being
just
said,
gravel everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, though, it was still incredible, wasn't it? Those last few laps.
Amazing racing.
We saw,
and it didn't even stop.
No,
it was a lap later. Obviously, Hamilton's back behind Leclerc, who's still in his old hard, so he's not got the pace of the rest of them. Into the Brooklands and Woodcote section, Hamilton gets past Leclerc, running outside of Woodcote. Unfortunately for him, Leclerc picks up the slipstream, much like what we saw on lap 1 in 2021, but we'll not go there. And Leclerc absolutely sends it around the outside of Hamilton. Incredible move on old hards. Hamilton actually hit the apex.
It's amazing what happens when you don't get forced right to the inside of a corner, isn't it?
Well, it's amazing what happens when you don't understeer into the other car. And then...
Because you haven't been forced completely off the racing line onto all the
But this is not about 2021, so we won't go there. Yeah, I did enjoy Hamilton's comment afterwards, to be fair.
I thought that was a clever little jab.
Yeah, it kind of reveals the facade that he doesn't actually like Verstappen very much, which we all kind of know. But there we go.
Yeah, no, last year, I think. I don't know if you saw as well, I think he did an interview today, sort of talking about, last year, because again, it gets brought up still from time to time, as you'd expect, both in normal Formula 1 and on the show. He sort of said, that the only sort of sensible way you can describe that sort of thing was as a traumatic experience. And he went, I've learned a huge amount from it.
Fair play, yeah.
You know full well when Hamilton brings out a book in a few years, the
that's
FIA
amazing.
is screwed.
Yeah, they'll all have to resign.
That is
going to
be such a read.
Yeah.
He
promised, was it 2018, 2017 when he promised a book in 10 years' time?
Yeah.
So we're almost there.
That book is going to be such a read because you think that, there's been so many moments,
2016, I'm
2016.
2007, Hungary
2007, Hungary. Just the end of 2007, that gearbox issue.
In inverted commas.
Yeah, exactly. 2008, of course, Spa. Last year.
That was deserved, but yeah.
A 25-second penalty.
Well, that was a minimum penalty they gave.
It was designed to make sure Massa won. Let's be fair.
We need to do that at podcast at some point. Controversial opinions.
Controversial opinions.
Oh wait, Spa would definitely be there.
You think Hamilton deserved a 25-second penalty for following the rules?
We'll leave that for now.
Anyway, back to this week though. Like we said, obviously Max and Mick having a brilliant battle right towards the end, and it did mean, whilst all this is going on, Sainz sailed 150 races is taking him. All he needed was me there with a paddock pass, and Carlos Sainz is a Grand Prix winner.
Yeah, back-to-back wins for the 2015 Toro Rosso Giro that you forgot about.
Yeah. We'll get onto the quiz in a second.
Oh, I'm looking
because I got
forward
one
to that.
for Jamie now.
Yeah, Sainz won the race. Perez second place, which is an amazing recovery considering he was 17th by the end of lap 2. Or was it lap? It was lap 5, but ignore the technicalities.
Yeah.
Hamilton P3. Yeah, Hamilton third place.
13th podium at Silverstone, the most for any driver at a single track, including 10 in a row.
Yeah, the last 10 Silverstone races he's been on the podium, which is mad. And what the last one he wasn't would have been when he got a puncture in 2013 when he was winning.
Yeah.
So he would have got one then as well. So there you go. Yeah, Leclerc P4. I thought he was going to end up behind Alonso and Norris, to be fair, but he recovered it all right.
No, he did surprisingly well, didn't he?
Yeah, especially when he did all the race with half a wing.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen holding off Mick Schumacher for P7, which is not something we thought we'd be saying on the start of the weekend.
They've had their once-a-year battle with Schumacher and Max.
If I got a nickel for every time Verstappen raced Schumacher with half a car, I'd have 2 nickels.
You'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but still weird. It's happened twice.
Yeah. Schumacher getting his first points in 8th place. Fair play.
Finally.
About time. There we go. And his mentor, Sebastian Vettel, P9, and Magnussen rounding out the points. His first points since Imola, I believe, for Magnussen.
Yes.
It's been a while for Haas to get any points.
Haas's first double points in 3 years.
Wow, yeah.
Which
is a long time.
Insane. And, it was good for the team. We saw, I think it was Mick Schumacher's mum, wasn't it? And his sister, they were obviously very much celebrating after the race. And, you sort of think fair play for them as well.
Yeah, it's nice to see. I hope he does pull it together.
Exactly. Also means, of course, we didn't have a 10-year wait for Schumacher points.
Oh, yeah. Brazil 2012 last time.
Brazil 2012, last time. So we didn't even have to wait 10 years, which is something. And
he did his best to make it 10 years.
I think we do really hope, don't we, now that obviously Mick, hopefully this is the start of more promising things in the second half of the year. But we'll wait and see about that. But of course, 6 DNFs on the afternoon. Esteban Ocon engine failure. Pierre Gasly, that was late on in the afternoon, wasn't it?
They retired him after Tsunoda game damage.
And then obviously Bottas as well. That was, I didn't actually see what that one was.
It
for
was
at the time.
power unit, I think, or they called him in and boxed.
Was it what Gran Yu Zhou would have had he been racing?
Yeah, probably. Zhou would have been about 5th, and then it'd be like, sorry, Zhou, we have to retire.
Got to retire again. And then of course, Russell, Zhou, and Albon all out of the Grand Prix there, which meant it was just the Canadians. Who else didn't score?
Ricciardo
and Tsunoda. Sorry,
running out of time with Daniel Ricciardo.
It's got to come to an end surely at some point. Do we jump into driver of the day then, Jamie, or do we want to do your quiz first?
I want to get the quiz. I want to see what you come up with. We've not discussed
Let's get the quiz done. Yeah. So if
you seem to enjoy the trivia.
Yeah, if you enjoyed last week's show, obviously Jamie, out of the blue, gave me a quiz mid-show where I did pretty well until I made myself look like a moron and completely forgot that that 3 people currently in F1 have raced for Toro Rosso. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my timer ready for this. So is it
how long have I got?
Is it 90
I gave
or
you a minute
60
last
seconds?
week.
We gave me a minute last week. Let me just... I forgot how to use a phone.
Oh no.
Let's get a timer up then. We're going to go 1 minute on the clock. So I'm going to read you this out, Jamie.
This is terrible.
So there are 14 ads. So last week you gave
I'm
me
doing
15
14 in a
ads.
minute.
Yeah, you got
What
to
is this?
I had to do 15 in a minute last
Yeah,
week.
but I took a minute getting my timer up as well. What is this?
Yeah, and?
Okay.
It doesn't matter. So, you have got to name me, and I feel like you should be able to get all of these, to be honest.
Okay.
You might miss one. You have got to name me every nation that has won a Formula 1 world title, and even better if you can tell me how many each they've won.
World title in a minute. I can't do. I'm not doing the second part. I'll just do the nations.
Right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Right. Britain, Germany.
Yep.
Spain.
Yep.
Finland.
Yep.
South Africa.
Yep.
New Zealand, Australia.
Yep.
That's 7. Italy.
Yep.
Argentina.
Yep.
Where we go next? France, Brazil.
Yep.
That's 11.
Yep. You got 2 more.
America.
Yep.
Netherlands. Oh dear.
Yep. That wasn't actually on my list. Sorry, you got 1 more.
One more.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You got 20 seconds. You got 20 seconds. You got
20
plenty of
seconds,
time.
got
This has
ages,
been
okay.
incredible.
Okay. Oh no. Did I say Canada?
No, there we go. 15
Oh, smashed
seconds.
it.
He smashed it. Fair play to you, you nerd.
Yeah.
You nailed that.
I
Like
came
said,
in early with the South Africa because I was definitely going to forget about Joey Scheckter.
I looked about it and I thought you'd probably forget New Zealand, but then Denny
Chris
Hulme.
Amon. No, not Chris Amon.
It wasn't
Sorry.
Chris Amon. It definitely wasn't Chris.
No.
Now, I always forget Denny Hume. Denny Hulme.
Yeah.
As an F1 champion. Fair play to you.
I can't believe I almost forgot Max. That'd have been terrible.
To be fair, he wasn't actually on my list, so you could have got away with that. I must have accidentally found an old list because
There's no way I'm doing the numbers. I mean, I can tell you Germany.
Yeah, no.
Germany have
let's go
12.
through it then. No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do. How old is this list? this list is not good that I've got. Right, let's go through it then quickly, so you can try and guess
Okay.
how many each one's got. We'll go from
Trivia
the bottom.
part 2 after I smashed it.
Exactly.
Okay.
So South Africa.
1.
Yep. New Zealand.
1. No. Is it 1? Is it how many? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's actually. I'm going to try and change up the order, otherwise, obviously, just.
Yeah, there will just be 1, aren't they?
Argentina.
Fangio got 5, and I think that's it.
Yep. France.
4.
How
Gasly
is Alain Prost still the only French world champion?
Gasly hasn't won a championship yet, unfortunately.
Mad, isn't it? Let's go Italy.
Oh dear. Oh. Farina got 2. Anyone else won for Italy? No, we'll go with 2.
You're wrong. On
Who else
all accounts there. Farina only ever got 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Ascari
Ascari got 2. Sorry,
Yeah,
I got confused. So it's 3 then.
Yeah.
Oh, close.
Spain.
Alonso 2.
Yeah. Germany, we already established was 12, even though
12,
my
I said
list says 11, which is not
7
good.
for Michael, 4 for Vettel, 1 for
One
Nico
for
Rosberg.
Nico Rosberg. Let's go with it then. Silverstone. Oh, this is so old.
Silverstone, you mean Britain?
Britain, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
This is so old, my lord.
That's a lot. Hamilton's got 7.
Yeah.
Not 8. Almost at 8.
Well, put it this way, my list says 1.
Oh dear. Oh, very dear. What? It's a 7 plus 3 for the Scottish guy, Jackie Stewart.
The Scottish guy.
2 for Jim Clark, so that makes it 12.
Yeah.
Mike Hawthorne,
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
John Surtees,
Yeah.
it's 14. Jack Brabham is Australian, never mind.
Yeah. Not on my list.
Jensen Button.
Yeah.
Is that how many was I on?
So you're up to 15.
Is that 15?
Now? Let me just double check. Yeah, 15 now.
Anyone else British? Oh, Damon Hill, Nigel
Yeah.
Mansell,
Yeah.
1 each.
Yeah.
So that's 17.
Yeah.
There's definitely some more 60s ones. Oh, Jim. Rush guy, Lauder's friend. Oh, what's his name?
You can't remember his name.
James Hunt.
Yes, yeah, and you're forgetting one more.
One more.
Which made me chuckle because I thought you'd get this before you.
This list is wrong, by the way. I didn't say Austria, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Did I? Wow,
I
smashed
thought
it.
you did.
Jochen Rindt.
Perhaps you
What a
didn't
guy.
say Austria.
Maybe I didn't say Austria.
Perhaps I just gave you that
Who's
point.
the other English one?
You should know this. I mean, this is bad. I mean, I can give you one hint and you'll get it immediately. So,
Graham.
Yeah,
No, he never won.
Yeah, he
did.
did.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Championships, Mr. Monaco.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, that's all of them.
Where next? Is that all of them?
Yeah.
Oh, all the British ones.
Yeah. Canada.
Only Jack.
Yeah.
Villeneuve.
Austria.
Jochen Rindt. Only one. No, Niki Lauda.
Niki Lauda, yeah.
3. Forgot about that. So that's 4.
Yeah. Finland.
That's harder than people think. Keke.
Yeah.
Rosberg.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
Hakkinen 2.
Yeah.
And Kimi Raikkonen 4. Or total 4.
Yes.
I think that's all of them.
Yep.
This is a very long quiz.
It
but I'm
is,
smashing
isn't it? Yeah.
So it's all right.
I'm just quite impressed, to be honest. USA?
That's harder as well. Phil Hill was American.
Yeah.
He won 1. Andretti
Yeah.
won 2.
No.
Only 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is all of them.
Is that all of them? Okay.
Yeah. Brazil?
Senna won 3.
Yeah.
Fittipaldi won 3. And the man who shall not be named won 2.
Unfortunately, you've got your numbers the wrong way around there. Fittipaldi only have won 2, and no
all right. Well, hand one a PKs to Fittipaldi. And
hand all of his, I say, because Fittipaldi is a legend.
And Enzo's doing it right as well.
And Enzo's not doing badly now, but I can say Fittipaldi's a legend because I ended up on iRacing with him once, and I tell you what,
with Emerson.
Yeah. He was just
Why is he on iRacing?
He was just in a practice session. No, that's brilliant, isn't it? He's in his 70s,
so funny.
and I tell you what, he was still rapid. Fair play to him. He was mad. Last but not least, then, Jamie, Australia, mate.
Oh, I said Danny Hume. No, he's New Zealand, isn't he?
Yep.
Who did I say earlier? Jack Brabham.
Yeah.
And he's won 3.
Yeah.
Is there any more?
Yep.
Not Bruce McLaren.
Nope, he was definitely a Kiwi and definitely never a world champion.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, who's the other one? I can't remember.
You've named every other Formula 1 world champion.
Have I actually? Okay, I'm getting this one as well then.
Come on, you should know this one.
Why should I know this one?
Because he had... Well, I mean, I could give you a big hint that would basically tell you immediately.
Australian.
Yeah.
Jack Brabham. No, I said Jack Brabham.
You
already.
said Jack Brabham.
3 times now.
Yeah. 3 times, once for each of his championships. This gentleman only ever won 1 world title.
Oscar Piastri.
No, he's going to be a 3-time world champion at the very least.
Oh, sorry. This is awful.
The thing is, I'll give you 1 hint and you'll get it immediately.
Okay, do it. I give up.
One in a car after his own name.
Does that help me?
It should.
Yeah, I'm just going back to Jack Brabham again.
No. Wait, unless I've got that wrong.
Oh, I don't know. I've lost it.
Let me just double check that I hadn't got my fact wrong for you.
This quiz has been going on for like 10 minutes.
It has, but it's been a very fun quiz. Yeah, no, ignore my fact for you. What if I tell you he won his world title for Williams?
I think it's like Van Wall or something. Oh, Williams. Oh, that's late. Oh, it's 1980. Alan Jones.
Yes!
On my little
done.
F1 champion quizzes, I always forget about him.
Do you? See, mine's always Denny Hulme. Yeah.
No, I always get Hume. I never get Alan Jones. There we go.
There you go. So my thing of he won a car after his own name.
The Jones F1 team.
Yeah, it was wrong, unfortunately. But we'll gloss over that. Right,
so you had one bit of trivia for us and you got it wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't... I was meant to throw you off. That was my master plan. Right, should we actually get back to the proper show quickly?
Yeah.
Let's do... I mean, neither of us want to do it this week.
Oh, no.
Let's do our F1 2022 Fantasy Review.
Yeah, and we basically had the same team.
Yeah. We kind of both thought we were going to be sensible for the rest of the year and end up with pretty much the same team. And safe to say that shafted us both royally. Jamie,
so
how many points did you score this week?
I did not break triple figures.
Nor did
82.
Oh, you scored more than me.
Even on that week, I'm still scoring more than that. You take it.
I scored 81.
Oh, 1 point, get done. I'm guessing you had... What did you have?
I had Albon instead of... Who did you have?
Magnussen.
No, I had Magnussen as well.
Bottas.
So
yeah, I got -8 and you got -9.
I still don't know how you managed to get Bottas in your team and I can only afford Albon, but hey-ho.
Stonks.
Because everything else is the same, isn't it? Yeah, we both got K-Mag, who didn't do too badly, actually, but got beat by his teammate. Verstappen, who of course got screwed. Russell, who of course got screwed. Leclerc, who of course got screwed. And Alpine, who screwed themselves.
Alpine were looking good until Ocon just broke down, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah. However, my risky team banged it. 187 points.
Wow.
I had Ricciardo, who was useless, as always. Sainz, race winner, 49 points throughout the board. Pierre Gasly, who got murdered. Alonso, 74 points as my turbo. Hamilton, 39 points. And Aston Martin for another 26. So I got 2 drivers on the podium and one that finished just outside the podium. Turboed for 187 points. I really want to know where that ranked me this week. Almost up to 1,500 members in our league.
Top scorer this week.
4,500, sorry.
Top scorer was Jack Racing 55 with 277. So you weren't that close to the top.
I was nowhere near, yeah. I'm just
who megaed Leclerc, unfortunately. Turbo Perez had Sainz and Alonso, and Ferrari and Bottas, who got -8. So it was... I mean, it could have got a lot better, but he's still top scorer of the week. So fair play to Jack. We've got Ion P in second. Was it a similar team? He's actually mega, so he must have done better. Yeah, Sainz Turbo, Perez, Alonso, Norris, Vettel, Ferrari. So all doing very well.
Team.
Yeah, fair play.
I nailed that.
A guy from Panama in third place. Fair play. Bruno G. JDK Racing in joint third with Laura as well. And the Spanish Armada loads of people in joint third. Then we got another mega driver in seventh with Unfallon with Ibrahim. Who's you mega? Oh, Perez. Fair play. That worked out. Yeah, not too bad for him, but 108 points from the mega driver is always helpful. Then we got Jordi P, Eduardo G, and Juan B. All the Spaniards. 5 Spaniards in the top 10. Wow, doing Carlos
because they all had Alonso and Sainz.
Yeah, maybe. That's true. Yeah, doing very well. If you got top 10, very well done. Me and Matt did not.
I just looked. We must have come 3,800th this week in a league of 4,500 people. That
not the best.
So bad. My meme team came 1,007th, and I thought I'd be happy with that. Let's have a look then, Jamie, at our top 10 overall at this point of the season. 10 races. Can you believe we're 10 races in?
Oh, use your turbo. Use a mega, sorry,
because it resets. Use my mega. Yeah, I'm going to use my mega this week. Larry T is still on top with 2,153. Maxwell's mustache, though, Max T, level with him, has not used his mega driver. Max, if you are watching this, use your mega this weekend, mate. You don't want to lose it, because you are going to be, if you don't bottle it, way out in front. Scuderia Wickham with Tim in at P3 still on 2,116 points. They're ahead of Lord of the Wings by Jack S. Then we've got a couple of Americans. Carlos there with Ferrari Masterplan ahead of Burnaby with Rafferty Motorsport. Tay B from India with Tay 2 team in P7. And then we've got Gavin D, Rosie V. And then that is the coolest name in the world. Someone in our league is literally called Zonda.
That's very cool. Well done to your parents.
Well done, Zonda. Fair play. Give your parents a pat on the back for giving you a cool name. In P10 there, and yeah, give yourself a pat on the back. You know, top 10 still in the most competitive fantasy league in the world.
Yep, confirmed.
we have taken some efforts.
I am 805th, so I'm clinging on to top 1k. We take that.
Are you? I am not. I don't think. But I've still got a mega drive to use. I am 1.8k.
Wow,
that's bad.
1,000 places. That's pretty poor.
Yeah, but how many points you on?
Overall,
Yeah.
1756.
Oh, so if I nail my Mega Drive, I could be right back with you then. I'm only like 120 points back.
Announce max DNF next week.
Oh, you better not. Better not. Yeah. I mean, we'll obviously do a bit of a look towards next week. Jamie, do you want to run us through our prediction recap from last week?
Yeah, which I've tapered off a little bit compared to early season where I was smashing everything, but I'm still 12 points ahead of Matt. I'm on 38, Matt's on 26. We predicted fairly safely for Silverstone, so I went for a Leclerc pole with a Leclerc win, followed by Verstappen and Hamilton. And you went for a Verstappen pole, a Verstappen win, followed by Leclerc and Hamilton. So unfortunately, the only thing we predicted the same was the only thing that did happen. So Hamilton P3 for us both got us 2 points, and nothing, obviously Leclerc and Verstappen. Neither got pole and neither got on the podium. So no points outside of that. So 2 each, which makes the overall scores up to 40 for me and 28 for Matt.
Wonderful.
Oh, I feel like Carol Vorderman.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'd really worry if you do. What an odd statement from I'm definitely going to odd shot that. Someone please clip that.
Oh dear.
I guess then, Jamie, our final question in what has been a very bumper episode just from Silverstone is, I mean, let's be fair, it's a 10 out of 10, isn't it, this weekend?
Rating?
At least a
absolutely.
9.5 race rating.
I'll give it a 9.5.
I think 9.5 is fair. Could have been improved.
It's
but
not.
by
I
much.
think 10 out of 10 has to be like race of the decade.
It has to be
the
like
one
your
thing-
Canada 11 or something like that.
The one thing we kind of lacked was the race win was never really in question, seriously.
It was for a lot of the afternoon.
Between Sainz and Leclerc a bit, but then...
Yeah, but even Hamilton could have been...
I never really bought into Hamilton winning.
The thing is, with that race, is a lot of different things could have happened that would have also made it very exciting. Whether there had been a safety car at a certain point or anything like that. But we still had a very exciting race.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race, but
absolutely.
the safety car restart, Sainz kind of drove off. If there was a bit of fight for the lead as well, then absolutely.
But again, not every race is going to have a fight for the win, and it did early
Exactly.
on, so I think we can take that. Yeah, like we mentioned though a couple of weeks ago, of course, if you're still somehow listening, well over an hour and 10 minutes in, really thankful actually this week that we haven't decided to do an Austria preview as well. What we're going to do is we're going to come back either Thursday or Friday. We're going to do an Austria preview show separately. We kind of don't want these shows to get, way past the hour and a half mark. We're going to try and split it up during double race weekends, give you guys some more podcasts as well. Jamie, though, anything else to add from this weekend?
Well, we haven't done our driver of the day.
We have not done a driver of the day, have we? Have we completely forgot about that?
I have no idea, but I would give it to your mate Sergio Perez.
Yeah, I mean he's signed. I've got his signature on my hat. Showing that up to the camera now.
Yep. He got the official one as well. He obviously came back from 17th to 2nd. So, yeah, either him or Sainz was really the debate, I think.
Yes, yeah, I think Hamilton as well definitely deserves a good shout out. But really, really exciting race throughout, and what a weekend from Silverstone. Goes to show, the old school circuits. You don't need a fast street track, you don't need any silly gimmicks. You just need a proper Formula 1 race circuit with a bit of prestige that they all want to win at. And fair play to Carlos Sainz. I think he definitely deserves a shout towards driver of the day as well. I'm just having a quick look to see if there's any news.
Not that I see.
I've just seen Rossi trending, and I thought it was Valentino Rossi for a second there. Maybe he'd done something like come back to MotoGP, but I don't think it is. I think it's Alexander Rossi. So
wow, the last American to win an F2 before this weekend in Logan Sargent.
Yes, he wasn't he? So have we done, Jamie? Do we think have we wrapped up?
I think we're done. I hope you enjoyed. Apologies to trivia went on for so long, but Matt's question was big.
We got down a rabbit hole, so I think we can be pretty happy that one. Thank you all as always so much for listening. I want to give another shout out again. To first of all, Bybit and Red Bull. I'm probably going to try and do a separate video at some point over the next week or so, with sort of all my clips and stuff from the weekend, but just an absolutely insane experience, one that I will never, ever forget. And of course, you know, that also wouldn't be possible without all you guys watching, not only, of course, the podcast, but also, you know, the other videos, everything like that. So, yeah, I cannot thank you guys enough. You know, 64k we've just ticked over at the time of recording. You know, 100k is the goal by the end of the year. We've got big things coming up, you know, not only with the podcast, but a lot of things on the channel. So, thank you all so much for watching / listening. Make sure you give the Spotify a follow as well down below. You know, it really does help us out. And we will return, hopefully then, later on this week, ready to preview the Austrian Grand Prix.